Welcome back to the show, Lemonade with the Seth brothers. Is the host Kunal with my guest Raj Seth in the house. Raj, how are you doing today?
What? Doing fantastic. Thank you for having me down here at the station this evening.
Absolutely. Are you ready to squeeze some lemons?
I am ready to squeeze lemons. But if I could just first thank Super Ed, Eduardo, and Elizabeth for their stories and sharing, and then also thank you guys for having this opportunity.
Let's start off with your shirt, man. Was that intentional? Wearing a lemon-colored shirt? That's amazing, man. I like the way you think, Raj Seth.
My life is intentional. That's all I do.
Whatever Raj does, सोच समझ के और सोच बाज के करना है, right?
Gee.
So Raj, you shared with me your lemons in life and where you're at today. Super successful, moved to Houston a few years back, but born and raised in Boston. And the high lemons thrown at you were first when you went to college to get a degree in engineering. And while you were told that that's the path to success, you realized very soon you were not wired to be an engineer, but you're wired to be an effective communicator. And you switched your major to communications. Then at an early age, actually you were mid-30s when your dad passed away, and you took over the household as to be the man of the household. And third one was when you left your comfort zone, your place of birth, Boston, and moved to Houston a few years back. Walk us through your journey, share some lemons with us, and let's make some lemonade today, Raj.
Kunal, that's pretty much everything I was going to talk about. Maybe we can come up with some other stuff.
Hey, those are dots. Now you got to fill the gaps over here.
Well, I guess comparing it to the earlier guess, I guess my first lemon was that I knew how to speak English. I wasn't trying to learn a second language or anything.
Did you know how to speak Hindi, my friend?
Oh, that is still a lemon. That is still a lemon I get hit with every day of the week.
I know for a fact when you were growing up, your dadi, your dad's mom, used to only speak with you and your brother in Hindi.
Yep.
And she would say, "Agar baat karni Hindi mein baat karo, wala mujhse baat hi mat karo." And you and your brother were die-hard Amitabh Bachchan fans, and you would listen and watch all the movies, and you talked to your dadi in Bollywood language.
Yeah, I would basically keep saying, "Ye shadi kabhi nahi hoenge," which is basically telling my grandmother that this wedding is never going to happen.
But then she said, "Beta tum bhuke ho? Ye shadi kabhi nahi hoenge. Beta tumhe park jana hai? Ye shadi kabhi." Every answer you would give, just like how Super Ed shared.
Absolutely.
He knew yes, he knew no, and he knew apple. Every answer was one of those three words.
Yeah.
So you grew up.
I had a whole sentence.
But you are a die-hard Amitabh Bachchan fan. I also know you love to dance, Raj. If you guys play Michael Jackson music or that song, favorite song? Come on, Raj, share with us.
Billie Jean or Crazy in Love by Beyonce. Natasha, do not. Do not.
During the break, we're going to play that and you're going to watch him dance. But Raj is an entertainer. Such a lively person. I mean, he has smile on his face 24/7. He walks into the room and people look at him and like, wow, where did that fiber of energy come from? Share with us. You've had lemons in life. We all have lemons in life. How do you keep yourself so positive, so engaged, and uplift the room no matter you walk in, Raj?
I think a lot of it is perspective. I don't know. I mean, it drives some people nuts that I don't get worked up about things. But, you know, if you're not getting worked up about things, you do tend to live a pretty positive, going forward kind of life.
You know, you're so right, Raj. People say the way you're wired, they can look at that as, oh, that's your shortcoming, or you are not wired correctly. But being easygoing is an art where things don't bother people, whereas I get stressed about nonsense stuff and I lose my cool, which is not positive. But I've seen you, even in the most stressful situation, always calm, always smiling, always positive.
And I brought nonsense into your life. So I've actually seen it when he's experiencing some nonsense.
Raj, your nonsense gets my day going. And I see, when I'm in my office, I say, oh, Raj aa raha hai. Ab kya kar diya isne? You understand what I said?
Yeah.
Thoda.
Yep. This wedding is never going to happen.
Absolutely. So Raj, walk us through your journey. Tell us your lemons in life, what you've learned, how you've changed yourself to who you are today. Because when you were a young adult, being not successful going to college, which is a big accomplishment by itself. But you went to be an engineer, which is a trade. You got to be sitting behind the desk or behind the office walls and do the task over and over again. You're wired to interact with people, be outside, talking, engaging people. What made you realize you were in the wrong major and take the step back and switch from that to communications?
I think that the big indicator was grades. I think that really
I tell you failed
kind
your
of hits
lesson.
you in the face there.
Got it?
I think the biggest piece was, it's just very easy to go through the education system here. And I just was going along in high school, right? Did school newspaper, was in drama, theater, performing at basketball games, you name it. But I thought that the only way that I would be able to be successful and have a career was go towards a science or an engineering or something like that.
Was that something where, being Desi, we are taught
Yeah.
and trained, if you want to be successful, beta, doctor banjao, beta, engineer banjao, a few limited fields that we are kind of pushed into getting. Was that something that was instilled by your family, by your parents? Why engineering?
It was just out there. And again, one of my first lemons that I threw at myself was just not asking questions, not asking myself questions, not having someone ask questions to really understand who I was and come into a better mindset about what was going to make me successful. I used someone else's formula of what success was.
And this was in first year, second. When did you realize and switch to major?
Probably about 2.5 years into engineering. I don't give up. That's the problem. So after that, I switched colleges and finished off with a communications degree from UMass Amherst.
Wow.
Go Minutemen.
Wow.
And that was the change and confidence booster that I needed. That was my arena.
Love it. Fast forward when you're in your early 30s,
Yep.
and you live with your family. So your Nani-ji, your Dada-ji, your Nana-ji, your parents, and you and your family and your kids, they all live in a nice big household in Boston area in a suburb called Northborough. And your dad was a ground force. He was a force that put things together. But you had multiple generations in the home, and you were really relying on him to be the center force of the household. And when he passed away in your mid or early 30s, that shook your household down. That's where Raj Seth had to step up, take care of not just his wife and mom and kids, but your grandmother and your grandfather. And you took over the whole household. Walk us through your thought process. Walk us through your journey, how that lemon was thrown at you, and how you made lemonade out of that, Raj.
Well, I think, again, it is being taken out of a comfort zone. Like if there is calmness or just everything kind of just goes along. And this is where I get in trouble, where everything's okay. So then when something adverse happens, like losing your dad, when, again, you're never ready to lose a parent very suddenly, but it just makes you start having more perspective. I remember speaking to someone after he passed, and I just realized I needed to start speaking to as many people as possible, getting stories about his life, stories that I didn't know, speaking to other people who had gone through that grief, thinking about, and I remember talking to this one kid, and I was just going on and on about the stuff that I didn't do with my dad. And he's like, think of all the stuff you did do. And that switched everything. That just completely switched it. It got me back to appreciating life. Just, you're appreciating what you have, but obviously you're always going to look to try and get something better, something different. So that house, though, if anyone's out there...
Boundary Street, right? Is that the street name?
Yeah, I christened it the Raj Mahal.
Raj Mahal, all right?
Yeah, right? Why not?
And you guys had, if not more, you had 4 master suites in the home.
We had 4 master suites to handle my grandparents, my parents, my wife and I, and Sonath and Amisha also had their wing whenever they would show.
Yeah.
But a little tidbit, little lesson when living with a joint family, more than one kitchen. Every everybody should get their own kitchen. We should have had 4 kitchens. That would have definitely been a positive.
So,
But yeah, no, I think that the biggest thing that I've also been able and fortunate to provide and experience is that joint family atmosphere. Being part of a 3-generation household. No, it got to 4-generation household. Everyone would come and visit us. So my kids have grown up knowing their space in a bigger
environment, bigger family.
a bigger tree. We're not just a branch, we're part of a tree.
It actually is a blessing in our culture, in our Desi culture, living with parents, grandparents, or grandkids. A multi-generational household is the norm. And a lot of people who are born, raised in America, or Americans, don't understand the values of having grandparents around or having multi-generation people having in the household. The cultures, the values. Learning Hindi, for that matter, the Amitabh Bachchan songs, you wouldn't have learned them.
Hey, well, we tried to teach my Dadi English, which turned out to be a waste.
The waste. So you named your home, your household, as Raj Mahal. This was many years back.
Yeah.
Now you actually build mahals, or you are a realtor in the profession. But I also understand you're not the first generational person in this business. Your dad was a developer, and he developed multiple projects in the Boston area.
Yep.
And I also know he used to make you and your brother dig trenches and do hard work outside those homes. It was never a case where you were showing up to collect the paycheck. He actually made you grind, and you did not like that.
The paycheck was at the bottom of the trench. That's what we were told.
True, but those values of your dad showing you what it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur, to be in real estate, whether you're a realtor or a developer, that's what made you successful. So walk us through that journey where doing what you did not like doing, how has that helped impact you be who you are today and make you successful?
Well, I think the biggest thing watching him was how he was that first generation. He had that first generation mentality, like to the 10th power, in terms of the opportunities he created for himself. Like you, a lot of people told him no.
Mm-hmm.
He would just say, okay, and then go around and just keep plugging. Persistence to accomplish what that original main goal was. So I think that watching that has definitely been a beneficial experience. And then it even amplified itself after he passed. That's when you start thinking back on all the things you've done and all the things we've done with him and so on. So yeah, I think very, very lucky to have gone through that. And then, the other big piece was that, I've been in construction and land development, worked for a remodeler. That also just helps my perspective, being a real estate agent. But I eventually got into real estate up in Massachusetts. And I was doing okay. It was fine. But I was going to hit a ceiling. And that is something the previous me would have just been fine. Kind of just hanging around at that ceiling. And, I had the amazing opportunity to come down to Houston. And that's outside my comfort zone. I was born and brought up in Massachusetts. Get to 46, you really don't want to recreate any wheels or even drive another car, whatever the analogy is. But I did it. Ripped off the Band-Aid, came down here, started figuring stuff out. So I think getting out of that comfort zone, knowing that was the only way I was going to further my growth.
I think complacency, Raj, is where people get comfortable where they're at. They get into almost like a complacency. They get into almost like a cruise control.
Yep.
Put the car on that speed and just cruise along. But when you hit a road bump, the cruise control is not going to work.
Nope.
It's going to throw you off your track. And that's what you did. It was a forced detour that you took. Went from Boston to Houston. And being in the same business, but real estate in Houston is thriving. I mean, you could sell 20 homes at the same pace where you would sell 2 homes in Boston because there's more demand, more supply here. Boston has tons of demand, but not as much supply because its inventory shrunk over there. So moving to Houston, it's been about 2.5 years since you moved over here.
Almost 3, yeah.
Almost 3 years.
Yep.
what's the best lemonade you've made the last 3 years that you did not expect to make before you moved to Houston?
I think I further enhanced playing to my strengths. And what I've also learned is that you have to keep learning how to make lemonade. That coaching piece and listening to coaches and taking the nuggets from coaches. You know, it's not the same lemonade you're making every time. You're getting different types of lemons. You got to play with the sugar.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the mix and adding more things to it. But you're correct. A lemon is a lemon, but how you create variations and how you learn from each lemon thrown at you, how you get better is true.
Every lemon is different.
Every lemon is different. Another thing I want to share about you, which I've observed every time you ever get together, whether there are 20 people, 2 people, or 100 people, you find opportunities to engage with kids, including my kids. You would talk to them, engage with them. I've seen get together where everyone's drinking, partying, dancing, and as Raj said, you'll be in a corner talking to kids, engaging with them, talking to them. Share with us your passion for influencing young adults, because you have a high school going son.
Yep.
Your daughter is in 7th grade?
No, just 5th grade.
5th grade.
10 years old.
5th grade. So those are your idols at home, but when you go out, you find opportunities to talk to kids, talk to young adults. Walk us through that, Raj.
First, I think it's kind of important to clarify that I don't seek kids out in a creepy way to try and talk to them or anything. I just want to get that out there.
But I've seen you engage. You ask them questions.
Yeah, I got it. But I think that the biggest piece is that no one spoke to me like that when I was that age. No one asked me what I'm doing. No one understood what classes I liked the best, what classes I didn't like, what did I want to take next year, what were my goals or my visions. And I just get so energized listening to people as little as in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, that they've already started getting dreams. And I just feel if you can ask those right questions, you just pull more and more out of them, setting on a path for success. And I just think that, again, early on, it's important to have the right questions asked of you. Find a mentor, find someone who is informally willing to coach you through things. And then just kind of keep checking in on you. And, you know, when I go to all these dinner parties, I, grab my drink, say hi to all the other people, then I call all the 7th graders and up into another room or to the side where everyone can still see us. And, just have a great time.
So what you realized when you were a young kid, maybe you were not talked to or asked the right questions. You would expect to do things, and that was missing for you. There was a lemons at you, but you said, you know what? That was not the right communication style when you were growing up. How do I make sure other kids, friends' kids, kids that get together, how do I engage with them, pull things out of them, empower them, and make them feel welcomed or challenged at the same time, and make them more successful?
Make them feel relevant.
Make them feel relevant.
And worthy.
That's the right word. Make them feel relevant and worthy. Raj, now you're a realtor for the last 3 years. Share with us some of the lemonade, or funny stories or challenges you faced being a realtor in Houston, because Boston was different. You get to show 2 homes in a week or in a month, and that gets a deal done. Here you got to show 20 homes, maybe sometimes 50 homes, and the buyers still don't get to the finish line.
Yeah. So I think I finally clicked with the idea of Houston real estate, listening to Sonat's first story, where he met somebody on Sunday, showed 4 or 5 homes, and then wrote a contract on Saturday. I'm like, all right, this sounds good. This is the place. I guess I didn't appreciate, he only took 1 week. I met somebody on a Sunday, and then even down here, like maybe 15, 16, 17 Sundays later, that's when we finally signed a contract. So, but I think that piece is, I don't want to let someone, that journey is important, right? I mean, it is so emotional to go in that house search. I mean, it's the biggest financial commitment that you'll make in life. And there's always so much wrapped up in it. And I go around, I'm like, I wouldn't let you buy a house that I wouldn't feel comfortable after knowing you to buy it. Now, again, that turns it from one Sunday into 15 or 16. You know, I'm going to find you that right place for you. And when you find it, you'll know it, I'll know it, and it'll feel great.
2022 is right around the corner, Raj.
Yep.
You evolved yourself as a more professional, successful realtor last 3 years. And you're on a journey or upward track of getting more success. What are you going to do different or better in 2022, Raj?
I think it's consistency, and I'm just discovered this whole thing called time blocking.
Time blocking, all right.
Yeah.
Talk about time blocking, Raj.
Well, I Googled it. There was a lot of hits about it. So,
All right.
yeah, I'm still on the first 2 links.
All right.
But I think I got too locked down into specific to-dos at certain times. And it never worked, right? However, I think if you, the way you guys have said it, devote X amount of times to, like, you know, what we do, agent attraction, from like 9 to 11. It's just a block of time. If I'm doing something and it's not part of that block of time or what that main goal should be, I just got to go back. I got to go back to what I've defined that block to be, whether it's making phone calls, whether it's just catching up to emails and texts. I can't let that rule me. I've got to start ruling that again.
So being more disciplined
Yep.
about your time blocks and dedicating tasks for only things that you have allocated for that time block for.
Yep.
Love it. That was for 2022, Raj. Now, you are a very patient person. You take your time to evaluate and find all the details about a home, and you are super amazing at that. If someone wants to reach out to you and work with you as their realtor, how do they call you, Raj?
They can just start punching away. 713-487-7889. Again, 713-487-7889.
Love it, Raj. That was great. You shared your lemons with us, how you went to college for engineering degree. Then you said, I'm not wired to be an engineer. Switch your major to communication, switch your college as well. At age 34, you lost your dad, and that made you realize you had to be head of a household called Raj Mahal, where you had multiple generations, your grandparents, your mom, your dad, your kids, your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, all in one big Raj Mahal. But then a few years back, you transitioned again, got out of your comfort zone, living in Boston, moved to Houston, and then now you have transitioned to be a successful real estate agent. And 2022 is going to be the best year for you. Is that right?
It'll be as good as the year going to be after that.
I love that.
2023, then 2024.
Love that, Raj. One more time, share your number with people listening to you tonight.
To become part of this and enter my world and have me enter your world, 713-487-7889.
Guys, that was Raj Seth, Lemonade with the Seth brother. When we come back, quick break. We're going to bring back Super Ed. We're going to bring back Elizabeth and have Rod stay over here. You're going to have 4 of us on the mic after a few messages. You're listening to Lemonade with the Seth brothers.
6 days a week.